This is how you can tell when propaganda is being pushed in front of your face. And here it is. See, it doesn't matter what metric you use, doesn't matter if Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb, the Fauci movie was pure propaganda. And people who liked it are the propagandists, are basically the critics who give it, 100%, are presenting you with a plate full of manure, just saying, this is good, it promotes growth. While yes, in the right instances, manure does promote growth, if you were just to eat it with a spoon, it's going to make you sick. This is sort of the same thing. This is pure propaganda. So after terrible reviews, and believe me, it did. So the normal person who watched it said, this is bullcrap. This is just a fluff piece. This is just astroturf. This doesn't exist. IMDb rigs the Fauci movie scores, but it caught after forgetting a major detail. What detail would that be? See, the gatekeepers of movie reviews want us to believe that the new documentary featuring Dr. Anthony Führer Fauci wasn't all that bad. And apparently, from what I understand, it was. It was just showing that, during the 80s when Fauci was out there, going to bathhouses, to investigate where AIDS, and HIV, come into play in the parlance and, in the world. Why would you go to bathhouses? I don't know. But so as it turns out, they were even willing to lie about how audiences are responding to what looks like a failure among all age demographics. According to IMDb, the movie Fauci is a glimpse into an infectious disease specialist. Dr. Anthony Fauci has led the U.S. fight against every epidemic the country has faced, from AIDS to SARS to Ebola and the ongoing COOF. Originally, IMDb listed the scores for Fauci as a horrendous 1.6 out of 10. Now the site lists the movie's rating as much more respectable. 5 point out of 10. That's still not good, but if you're a liberal, that's good for you, right? The components of the overall score, however, remain the same as before. So presumably the site believes its users are so stupid that they're unable to figure out the average of the following numbers. 1, 1.4, 1.4, and 1.7 somehow all add up to 5.8. Does it? So as you see here, it says overnight IMDb fortified Fauci's overall rating from 1.6 to 5.8. Unfortunately, he forgot to fortify the components of the new score. So you can see all that right there. While you would understand, to average the numbers out, you would take these three numbers and divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And then you get your number. But you don't add those numbers up and go, oh, it's 5.8. No, you don't do that. You take the average score of something. That's how your GPA works out, for example. If you get a 70% on every single test you have, divide by the number of how many tests you've taken, that's 70%. That's just how it works. That's just, oh, that's right. Math is racist. So the Fauci hagiography, not doing well on IMDb. Interesting divergences depending on age and gender. So, again, not good. In other words, IMDb appears to have artificially inflated the movie's rating, and it didn't do a very good job in covering up its deception. And why should it? IMDb, don't know much about them. I know they talk about movies, but for the most part, they're leftist scumbags. And so leftist scumbags are going to leftist scumbag. This is what they do. They present propaganda as fact. Propaganda is not fact. Propaganda is what you have to tell the masses to change their mind on certain things. And present it as fact, even though it's not fact. That's just how propaganda works. In the reviews section of the website, users made it known why they despised the movie. One new user reported, very disappointing film. I was excited to see a movie that captures one of the biggest names in popular culture landscape over the last 2 years. Instead, what I got, it felt like a propaganda piece or a fan tribute. Very troubling way to present a documentary film. One user named John M. stated. Another one says, It should have taken a more balanced look at his life and work. Instead, it felt like a marketing puff piece, which is not what anyone wants from a documentary. Let's hope this was a blip and it's not a future of documentaries. That, my friends, is a normie. See, normies talk like that. They're like, well, I saw it and it was like propaganda puff piece, but let's hope going further that they're not going to keep doing that. And then they keep doing that. And that same normie's going to go, well, maybe in the future they're going to, get on the ball and not present propaganda as fact. And then they keep presenting propaganda as fact. You see, you normies out there, you gotta pull back the curtain and see who's controlling this bullshit. You gotta do that. But for the most part, you normies aren't doing that. But you need to. You normies need to take a more critical look at all aspects of culture. Another reviewer who spoke about watching the movie with an open mind was similarly let down. Again, another normie. I had already known that this documentary was not well received by many, but I watched it with an open mind to learn as much as I could about Fauci. If this documentary had a different purpose or a different title, I would probably be more forgiving. A user named Chrissy wrote. Normie Chrissy. What do I mean? Well, this was supposed to be a documentary about a public figure, not a biography, but a documentary about a man's career, no? Covering the many years of service of this man with no mention of any controversy is troubling. Maybe this is a normie who's seen the red pill rack in the distance and starts to reach out for it. Goes, I want the red pill. Then the blue pill people say, shut up, normie, you don't need it. Just stick with us. But I see the red pill. Keep reaching for the red pill, normies. Keep going. You're almost there. I wanted to learn as much as I could so I could formulate a more fact-based opinion on Fauci. I can't use this documentary because it was really just a puff piece. It was very one-sided. I prefer a documentary that covers all sides, positive, negatives, and everything in between. Yeah, that's probably somebody that is probably right of center and goes, yeah, if I'm gonna watch a documentary on something, I want it both sides of the issue. I want the good, the bad, the ugly, the in the middle. I don't want to be presented with ideas that are not based in fact, which is sometimes propaganda. And that's where we're at, folks. I don't need to watch that Fauci movie to know that it's a piece of human shit. It's presented as much. Because if you know who presented it, it was Nat Geo or National Geographic, and Nat Geo is owned by Disney. Disney provides propaganda to the masses at all around. And Disney and Nat Geo are there to keep the normies still voting on the left side of the political spectrum. They're supposed to say, hey, Fauci did nothing wrong. Don't worry about all those controversies in Fauci's past. Shh. Don't talk about that. You Fauci's out there. See Dr. Fauci? He's a good guy, normie. Keep thinking that way. Wear your mask. Get vaxxed up. And shut up. That's what you have to do. Shut up, normies. Dr. Fauci can do no wrong. Shut up, normies. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Shh. Shut up. That's what they want you to do. They want you to shut up. And so when IMDb gets basically put on blast, they don't care. Because the normies out there and the people on the far left, they don't give a crap about these sort of injustices. It's like, oh, who cares? IMDb rigs it. They're a private company. They can do whatever they want. Oh, okay, yeah. They can do whatever they want. But can you at least admit that if this was on the other side of the political spectrum, a right side leaning company who provided propaganda as fact and who changed the algorithm and basically said, yeah, we did it, and you would call it out. But since it's on the left side of the political spectrum, you won't call it out. You're biased and you don't admit to it. I'm biased and I at least admit to it. And I at least try to see things on both sides. But one thing I won't do is watch abject propaganda try to be force-fed to me as something that promotes growth, which in fact is just a spoonful of manure.